up until a few moments ago, you were swimming.
Yes, I was swimming and looking up at the clouds as I swam and thinking about what a wise decision it was to invest in the solar panel and also to set a boundary with my mother so that she wouldn't be out there watching me swim. And yeah, and then you and I got to talking about safety because I mentioned that the pool was my safe place when I was a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. The pool was your safe place, and in a paradoxical way, the motorbike is your safe place, even though some people would consider it dangerous.
Yeah, it's it's been one of the greatest, most enlivening experiences of my life to ride a motorcycle at these later years and behold the world unfold before me. It's like moving through time and space and beauty. And I guess that's the main thing, is moving through beauty, because Costa Rica is so beautiful. Um, and as I'm thinking about this, or after my husband died, we used to ride motorcycles together. And after he died, about 2 months after he died, I decided I'm going to start riding again by myself. And that was the key, that when you're immersed in beauty, you can't help but have like a full and thankful heart. You know, you can't help but feel awe and wonder and joy just to be part of the beauty. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Being on a motorcycle, you're part of it all. You're not separate. Like in a car, you're a spectator, they say, and in a
Mm-hmm.
motorcycle, you're more part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that experience of being immersed in beauty and being part of it, not separated from it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a full body experience. It's complete, especially if you're on dangerous roads or gravel roads, or there's this quality, this intensity that is that really grounds you in the moment. So whatever you're carrying, whatever heartache I'm carrying, or yeah, heartache I'll call it, because it's a common experience for me this year, is a sense of heart crush. You know, as soon as you're on these intense, very focused, full body being there, uh, moving through this terrain and having to survive the terrain, if it's a rough and challenging terrain, everything inside you gets cleared, and it's kind of like an excitement that fills you or something. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you're through the rough terrain, all that's left is joy, really, like this intense joy at the whole experience, and having also survived it, if it was a little scary or
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah. 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 So that element of scary helps ground you.
It helps ground you. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Very interesting, because you're super focused.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I did this gesture because that is an opening, right? Like
Yeah.
an opening to the whole, and you have to open to the whole to really function in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So that very strong experience of something opening, of yourself opening.
Yeah. And then something came with joy, Serge, when I said that about the joy. I
Mm-hmm.
have all the coconut oil. I wasn't expecting to get on the phone, so I put coconut on the call. Coconut oil. I just had to go wipe it all off. And anyhow, I realized last year that my power is my joy.
Mm.
And I want to keep seeking my joy and release those things, those situations that take away my joy. Like last year, I had a sense of not bearing who I was again. That happens to me when my PTSD gets activated. I have a sense I can't bear who I am. And I think that's common to people caught in addictive processes, that they can't bear who they are. They can't bear what they're feeling, who they're becoming, the classic addict looking in the mirror in the morning and hating themselves, and and I started experiencing that last year. And when I realized it, I said, I'm losing my joy.
Mm.
I don't want to lose my joy, because on the motorcycle, it's where I finally experienced that sense of I love who I am and I love being me. And I've never felt that before. And that's the place where I most feel it, where I love being me and I love my life. And
I love who I
so,
am, and I love
yeah,
being me. Yeah.
wow. Can you imagine
Wow.
saying that? I
Yeah.
love being me. I love being myself.
Yeah.
What an experience.
Yeah, but that's so powerful. It's not just I can't bear being me and I'm going to learn to tolerate being me or to be less horrified by me or less disgusted by me or less ashamed of me. But I love who I am. I love being me. That's a very, very, very different thing.
Very different. And I love that you use the word horrified, because that is the sense. It's like this sense of being horrified, like those nightmares, where your teeth are
Yeah,
falling out and you're horrified. It's kind of similar to that. And yeah, and replacing that with, yeah, with joy. And nowadays on all the sites, everybody's saying you have to love yourself first. You have to love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you can't make yourself love yourself. It's not a decision.
right, right,
It's not
right.
like, oh, okay, I'm gonna love myself now. It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like that. But I've come to realize, if you seek your joy, if you seek those things that you love to do, or your joy or your passion, and I know it sounds so simple, then you can begin loving yourself. It's like an effect, a consequence, a gift of following something that you love to do
Yeah,
is self-love.
yeah. So you get to know yourself in a moment where you love doing what you do and you have joy. And then it is very possible for you to then love yourself at that moment
Yes. And love life.
and love life. Yeah.
That's right. And love life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now what's coming is the contrast of that with the night terrors that we sometimes get, when you can't sleep at night and you feel like you can't handle life. And I still have those moments. Maybe not so much, but I still have those moments. And this is the contrast with that. The really loving life and loving being alive, in contrast to that sense that life is hard to bear. There's
Yeah.
that word again, bearing it, but life is too overwhelming to bear, or too huge to bear.
Yeah. Life is too overwhelming, too huge, too scary,
Yeah, yeah.
to this, to that. Yeah.
I like hearing the word scary also. Thank you. I love your language. It really it really evokes that reminds me of being a child, and the first time I had that sense of terror at night, and I know what brought it up, but that's the word, is scared. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the source, I guess, of that overwhelm, is being scared.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And in riding a motorcycle, I just had a trip on Sunday, and it can be terrifying. And one of my friends froze and was in terror and couldn't do the downhill. Took them an hour and 45 minutes to bring his motorcycle down the hill. I was down at the bottom of the hill waiting for them. And I know the terror of on a very bad downhill full of rocks and ruts, the terror and the frozenness, and it's a very physical response. You can't talk yourself out of it hardly. But the contrast is what I'm learning to do is let go. To
Mm-hmm.
let go, and even though I'm scared coming down this mountain with rocks and ruts, you just have to kind of let it go, let the bike move and brake a little bit, but not much. It's very light. So I don't know the relevance of this.
That feels beautiful. That feels beautiful because it's not that sense of when you say immersed in beauty. When you were describing the ride, there's a sense of almost, you see the quality of a movie where, oh, you just kind of, it rides itself.
Yes.
And it's not that at all, because you're describing something that can be so scary that
Yeah.
you have a friend who's an experienced rider who
Yeah.
simply is paralyzed and it takes them hours
Paralyzed.
to go down. So very intense fear.
Very intense fear.
And what I'm hearing you say is how there's a difference between that fear and the crippling fear at night, or the fear of not liking who you are, or hating who you are, or being somebody, but that one is, maybe there's a difference between the two fears, and there's a different way in which you're managing them.
I think they're both trauma based. I mean, they're both. I wonder now if I'm engaging a different part of the brain than when I'm writing down and letting go. When I'm not in the frozen, when I'm in the letting go, and it's kind of you let go and have control at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a fine dance between letting go and having the control of the brakes a little bit, and so that's a. There's also something about trauma with the powerlessness of it that is powerless. Whereas if you have a sense of your agency and your power, then you're already coming out of the traumas,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? You're already
Yeah.
coming out of it. And that seems relevant somehow.
So when you're on that slope, there is at least a part of you that really remembers that it's something that you have the capacity to deal with. So you have that experience of your power.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the new that has come. And it comes also from being taught. Like at the beginning, when we were talking about what sustains me, I immediately got a sense of hands holding me, that really what sustains me is also my relationships, my recovery relationships, my focusing relationships, my motorcycle riding relationships. Um, I really know, I sense for me that we are relational beings. We're not, that's another self-help thing, that nothing out there should affect your happiness and nobody out there should, and it's not real. We are relational, responsive
Mhm.
beings, and we do respond to our environment and each other. And so as I was just listening to you, it was a friend who taught me, although maybe other people had tried to teach me that before, but he's a new friend, and he took up me and another friend on this trip, and it was a very scary hill, very loose gravel, terrifying. We were both terrified, both of us. And he said, you have to let go. You have to, it's better to go in second gear and let go, especially if you can see the way out. Just let go and let the bike go. And what works in this kind of terrifying gravel or situation. So my point is that I don't know what my point is, because you mentioned the word capacity.
Yeah.
Because before you don't know you have that ability until you
Yeah.
start doing it, and then you do it once or twice, and then you realize this is the solution, not the trying to hold a bike and brake and put your feet down. That's when you tumble. That's when you fall the most, is when you're trying to go against gravity. So there's something about being open to learning. I don't know, and then just doing it, and then you get the sense of capacity and
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah. Yeah. So that mixture of, on the one hand, you have to be open to learning. So you get the chance of having some experiences, and then you remember the experiences to override that, default mode, that
Yeah,
reaction. It's, I'm going to tense up because that's the one way I know to control danger. And
exactly.
instead of that, that you were able to relax because you rely on that past experience.
Exactly. The default mode, right? I like that. They joke and call it the death grip. And I know when I'm doing it sometimes, and then we'll say, okay, relax your shoulders, relax. You're doing the death grip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. So
Yeah. So, as you're talking this way, it feels like, a lot of what you are doing is exploring the experience of fear and having a different relationship with fear and threat.
yes, thank you. Exactly. And I want to bring that new experience to my social relationships, like I just told you before, setting a boundary with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And there's in another situation coming up where I want to be able to set a boundary without being terrified of whatever, of my inner child feeling if I set a boundary, she's gonna die. So a new relationship with fear gives me that tool of, if I do have some fear, that I can relate to it differently, even in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
while I'm setting the boundary. And then I will develop that muscle, that capacity,
Right. Right.
kind of way,
Right.
the capacity to,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because one of the things I want in life now is I want to shift out of the love hurts paradigm that I learned all my
Mm-hmm.
life, that has been imprinted over and over again, that love abandons, love criticizes, love hates even,
Mm-hmm.
shifting out of that to the love loves paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it is a new paradigm and a new way of relating to the world, where you give and receive care and attention and validation, and there is presence and support and relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that somebody's going to push you in the pool. It's
Right.
that they're
Right.
going to sit beside you and let you, whenever you're ready. It might take another 6 months or a year.
Right.
Doesn't matter. What
Yeah.
does it matter?
Yeah.
That's the different paradigm. And so maybe it requires a new relationship to fear,
Yeah. Yeah.
practice the new behaviors.
And what I'm hearing is that it's not something that's a distant goal, but in lots of ways, you already have been experiencing it in your life.
The love loves?
Yeah. I mean, maybe not to the point that you want to do, but it seems like there's,
Yeah.
there's a lot of this new paradigm already in your life, including in the way you ride, or maybe in the way you relate to your friends, riders, or I'm not sure.
Hmm. I guess as I hear the words love loves, also doing what you love is letting love love, right?
Yeah.
Letting love
Yeah.
love. Yeah, I guess, Serge, one thing I'm trying to do is let people know I appreciate them and make contact with them. And so I'm trying to practice the love cares, love loves
Mm-hmm.
myself to others, to give it to others so that they know they are cared for by me and that I'm there for them. And
Yeah.
that is also part, I think, I'm going off track a little, but it's relevant with aging,
Mm-hmm.
with the
Mm-hmm.
loss of youth and beauty.
Right.
You know, I need to shift from wanting, let's say, male attention or even a romantic partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having to shift from wanting that to giving love. I call it grandmothering. I'm not a grandmother, but grandmothers love others. They
Yeah.
tend to
Yeah.
others. It's a time of giving attention. And so it's part of that. Love loves is for me to move into my aging. I'm going to be 60 this year,
Mm-hmm.
so move into aging, understanding that it is a time to attend to others and love others in a way or something,
Yeah. Yeah. Giving love.
giving love. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Mm.
poignant because there's loss inherent in it at the same time. You mentioned this is kind of that part of losing, quote, youth and beauty. And so it's bittersweet.
Yeah. There's a lot of loss and grief with the changes in aging, I feel. Um, and so there's maybe, and even in these years of transitioning into older age, there's a little sense of being disoriented in
Mm-hmm.
terms of my identity, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like an identity loss
Mm-hmm.
and so it's creating a new kind of identity. As I'm saying that, I'm realizing that's correct now. And, but there is still there's a sense of a lot of possibility
Mm-hmm.
but also not knowing which direction to take to create the new identity.
Yeah. 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 You're not on a track. This is like
On the track.
improvising as you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I think about people who suddenly retire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some will really embrace the freedom of that and love that, and others will have that sense of being so disoriented and lost and maybe even depressed. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I don't know. And that's part of it too, because I'm no longer teaching focusing and my heart is just not into anything professional with focusing. I don't know, something went flat there for me, though I still practice it in partnerships and we still have a little changes group here, and I still love it as a way of relating to myself and others and the world. But having lost that, or not lost it, but just something went flat, like I don't have another passion besides motorcycle riding at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. My
Mm-hmm.
passion is motorcycle riding.
Right, right, right. But so the sense of identity is no longer in teaching focusing.
No, that's no longer me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's no longer who I am. And it's and I came alive with my recovery focusing groups as I
Mm-hmm.
do motorcycle. I love those years of developing recovery focusing. It was so exciting to create.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a creative process to create recovery focusing and work with the groups in the treatment center and feel the aliveness of focusing in addiction treatment and of connection with others, because it's very
Mm-hmm.
connecting. And so, and even in my motorcycle riding, I've gone from riding alone, which I still love to do. It's very spiritual. It's a very spiritual experience. It's meditative. And now I'm riding more with groups and with people. So yeah. So I think,
Mm-hmm.
as we say in recovery, it's all about those connections, connecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
I think that's what sustains us,
Mm-hmm.
relating and connecting to others and to our what's going on inside of us, and to the greater beauty of the world, or the world,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
nature, the greater living system, as gentlemen might say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.